So I wanted to make this video um, about a timely term, and it's it's called Goyslop, and I don't know. I could look it up and see what it technically means. It's Wikipedia says it's an anti-Semitic internet slang term for ultra-processed foods, fast food, and other mass-produced products framed by conspiracy theorists as a tool used by Jewish elites to keep non-Jews unhealthy and compliant. So then goy slop can even become, like, it doesn't even have to be food. It could be other mass-produced products. So anyway, the non-Jews are becoming rather gleeful about this, especially anti-Semitic ones, because they say, oh, well, how can this be anti-Semitic when this is a term that Jews created to refer to non-Jews? A racist slur, they call it. Goy is not a racist slur. It can be used that way, but usually with some kind of adjectives or modifiers, or by the tone with which it is delivered, it can be delivered that way. But I'll demonstrate that it is not an anti-Jewish racist term. So here at blueletterbible.com, which has an integrated Strong's Concordance, you can see that goy, that's g, that's a gimel, vavwa or cholom, with the dot at the top, that's an O sound, and then the yud at the end is an E sound, so that you get go-e. Go-e, said quickly, goy. So, but this term, as you see here, means nation or people. Now here it says usually of non-Hebrew people, but I can show you here that it's surprisingly used to refer to Hebrew people. And even the children of Israel are called a goy, a nation. So, and this is from the Hebrew Tanakh, what non-Jews often call the Old Testament, quite erroneously, as if there was ever, any New Testament that replaced it. But here, and this is the King James Version, so here in the first use of the term it says Gentiles, but let's use the Revised Standard Version, a better, more up-to-date version. Here it says, from these the coastal peoples spread. Now, yeah, peoples, I don't really want to go with peoples there, because they're they should have just stuck with the translation nations there, but they went with peoples. Anyway, so these are the sons of Ham by their families, their languages, their lands, and their nations. Goyim. Let's see, Genesis 10:5 says, in their nations. I think it may use, come on. Come on. Jeez. So, let's see. Yeah, nations here. Goy, and then at the top, the word is, looks like ha-goyim, the nations. Ha-goyim, the nations. And then again, goy here at the bottom, and then that looks like bagoy, bagoyim? Huh, I've never seen that word, but I mean, my my Hebrew is of a rather limited vocabulary. Anyway, so back to occurrences of this word goy. These are the sons of Noah according to their genealogies in their nations, Goyim. And from these the nations spread abroad on the earth after the flood. And like Hebrews would be descended from Noah. Then here, Genesis 12:2. This is kind of an important use. Now the Lord said to Abram, who would become Abraham, "Go from your country and your kindred and your father's house to the land that I will show you, and I will make of you a great nation," or a great goy. "And I will bless you and make your name great, so that you will be a blessing. And I will bless those who bless you, and him who curses you I will curse, and by you all the families of the earth shall bless themselves." Yeah, and that word is definitely families there, mishpacha, so not nations, but so here the Bible has the Hebrew deity saying to Abram, "I will make of you a great goy." And if there's any question about it, "And I will make of you a great nation, goy." And here's the word, lagoy. La is just like conjunction, junction. What's your function? Putting together words, phrases, and clauses. So, yeah, back to it. So, let's see. Then here, Genesis chapter 17, verse 4. Then Abram fell on his face, and God said to him, "Behold, my covenant is with you, and you shall be the father of a multitude of nations." Nations? Goy. What's the word? Goyim. So Abraham would become the father of a multitude of Goyim. This is not really sounding like a racial slur, people. So, let's see. And then in verse 5, "No longer shall your name be Abram, but your name shall be Abraham, for I have made you the father of a multitude of nations. I will make you exceedingly fruitful, and I will make nations of you, and kings shall come forth from you." So, Goyim, nations, came from Abraham. And then as for Ishmael, "I will make him a great nation, a great goy." Genesis 18, verse 18, "Seeing that Abraham shall become a great and mighty goy, and all the goyim of the earth shall bless themselves by him." Then, Genesis chapter 25, verse 23, "And Isaac prayed to the Lord for his wife because she was barren, and the Lord granted his prayer. And Rebekah, or Rivkah, his wife, conceived. The children struggled together within her, and she said, 'If it is thus, why do I live?' So she went on to inquire of the Lord, and the Lord said to her, 'Two nations are in your womb, and two peoples born of you shall be divided. The one shall be stronger than the other, the elder shall serve the younger.'" So if there's any question there, two nations, Goy. Goyim is the word in the Hebrew text. Genesis 35:11. God appeared to Jacob again. Jacob, whose name was changed to Israel, he being the patriarch of the children of Israel, when he came from Padan Aram and blessed him, and God said to him, "Your name is Jacob, no longer shall your name be called Jacob, but Israel shall be your name." So his name was called Israel, and God said to him, "I am God Almighty, be fruitful and multiply. A nation, a Goy, and a company of nations, Goyim, shall come from you, and kings shall spring from you." So, if there's any question, nation, well, first, a nation, Goy, that's right here, that's singular, Goy, and a company of nations, Goyim. So a Goy and a company of Goyim shall come from Jacob, Israel. And then Exodus chapter 19, verse 6. The Creator says, "You have seen what I did to the Egyptians and how I bore you on eagle's wings and brought you to myself. Now, therefore, if you will obey my voice and keep my covenant, you shall be my own possession among all peoples, for all the earth is mine. And you shall be to me a kingdom of priests and an holy nation. These are the words which you shall speak to the children of Israel." And if there's any question, holy nation, Goy. And there's Vagoy, because V is the conjunction there. So, and you could keep going with this. It even starts happening, I think in the prophets, Israel's again referred to as a Goy. So, so Israel is a Goy, a nation, but when Israel's talking amongst itself, and it's referring to all of the other nations of the earth, then they're called the Goyim, the nations, being the nations of the world, and that with an implied the other nations. So you could say in that respect, then the term becomes a reference to the other, right? But it's not a racial slur. It's simply saying that they're the nations that aren't us. Americans would do the same, right? France, the French citizens are foreigners. You know, the British citizens are foreigners. They're a nation, but they're not this nation. They're another nation. They're an other nation. An other nation. Another nation. Now, it's only when, if you added some adjectives to it, if you said a stupid nation or a foolish nation, then, you know, the term starts carrying some negative weight to it. Now, I think there there is a place where that's actually said, but I think it's said of Israel. Yeah, so Romans chapter 10, verse 19 in the Christian scriptures. But I say, did Israel not know? First Moses saith, I will provoke you to jealousy by them that are no people, and by a foolish nation I will anger you. So, no, I think that is um, referring to, here it seems to be referring to non-Jews. But where's the quote here? Do I have to go back? Where is it? Or is it here? Oh, there we go. Okay. So then, this is a quote from Deuteronomy chapter 32, verse 21. They have moved me to jealousy with that which is not God. They have provoked me to anger with their vanities, and I will move them to jealousy with those which are not a people. I will provoke them to anger with a foolish nation. So this is, yeah, apparently, you know, I think it's Israel. Let's see, Jacob. It's talking about Jacob. There was no strange god with him, and he was being fed by the Creator. But then Jeshurun waxed fat and kicked, and then he forsook God, which made him and lightly esteemed the rock of his salvation. Um, Scoffed at the rock of his salvation. They stirred the Creator to jealousy with strange gods. With abominable practices they provoked him to anger. They sacrificed to demons which were no gods. They were unmindful of the rock that begot them, and they forgot the God who gave them birth. The Lord saw it and spurned them because of the provocation of his sons and daughters. And he said, I hide my face from them. I will see what their end will be, for they are a perverse generation, children in whom is no faithfulness. They have stirred me to jealousy with what is no God. They have provoked me with their idols, so I will stir them to jealousy with those who are no people. I will provoke them with a foolish nation. So there's a case where the Creator is attaching a negative adjective to the term goy. So this term, translated foolish, is nabal, and it comes from nabal, meaning fade or fade away, weather away, be senseless or foolish. And nabal is typically translated fool or foolish, stupid or wicked. So it's a negative adjective that's being applied to um, where are we? Not here, and not here. Or here, maybe Exodus. Nope. Here. Yeah, Deuteronomy 32:21. So that would be an example of attaching a negative adjective to this neutral term goy, which anybody can do, right? But that would be the person doing it, or in this case, it's the Creator doing it. But we see that the predominant use of this term goy is neutral. It's not negative. It's not a racist slur. It's used to describe Israel as a nation. So how can you call it a racist slur used by Jews against Gentiles when the term is throughout their very own scriptures used to refer to them as a nation? So you could say, well, it's the plural form, goyim, that's used as a racist slur, but that's only in the sense that it's referring to the other. It's referring to all other nations. But no Torah fluent Jew is going to miss the fact that the children of Israel and Israel as a nation is referred to as a goy. And they're also going to know that their patriarchs were referred to as a goy. So, this idea that this term goy is a racist slur is not correct at all. It's a neutral term in the foundational literature of their culture. And it's not something that they could easily ignore, because they're studying this literature far more than any Gentile is. Trust me on that one. It's only if a person starts referring to the Goyim with either a bad tone or a negative adjective that it becomes a racist slur. And I'm not denying that it might be used that way, but then what the Gentile, the non-Jew, should do is ask themselves, why is this Jew referring to me as a goy in a negative way? Is there something that goyim have done to the Jews that might have made them start referring to goyim this way? Like even back in the Mishnah, I believe, might have been the Talmud commenting on the Mishnah, but I think it was in the Mishnah. It said that, I think when it's talking about the lighting of the menorah for Hanukkah, that, and it asked the question, well, what should we do for fear of the Gentiles, for fear of the Goyim? Meaning, like, should we light this if there are lots of Goyim around, and, Goyim, like, they're lawless wild beasts, and they might start persecuting Jews just for lighting a candle, right? So they say, well, what should we do for fear of the Goyim? So even back then, in the first century, around then, the Mishnaic period, Gentiles were a concern because of their behavior, so that in the Mishnah they could ask, well, what should we do for fear of the Goyim? So really the Gentiles should ask themselves, are they living according to God's law, or are they acting like lawless wild beasts? And to a civilized Jew, that might be a source of concern, right? Engage in some introspection for once. Please, Gentiles, coming from another Gentile, engage in some introspection. You can sit there and say that you notice patterns in, for example, African Americans or Black Americans, right? But then you can't notice patterns in your own behavior? That's not introspection. That's you being a racist fuck. So think about that. You who are accusing the Jews of being racist, after you've treated them the way you have with no justification.